Even though I've all but sworn off of watching other theory channels these days, Film Theory released a Gravity Falls Rick and Morty crossover video, and it caught my eye so much that I had to watch it. It's actually pretty good, except for one thing. The film theorist makes the assumption that Stanford Pines and Rick Sanchez were allies, but what if that's not quite right? Frankly, I think Ford would find Rick to be deplorable, so I don't see them hitting it off as friends over rivals. Kind of an Ash Ketchum, Gary Oak thing. Okay, before trying to tackle this massive question that's full of speculation and no real tangible proof, let's talk about Rick. For all intents and purposes, Rick is basically a god among men. He invented portal guns and later became known as the smartest man in the universe. And hey, best of all, the Rick we follow, Rick C-137, is allegedly the smartest of all the Ricks. I know Rick and Morty is a show dealing with the multiverse and infinite possibilities, but is no one else curious as to why C-137 Rick is mentally above the rest? Or if he's so brilliant and well aware of that fact, then why is Rick an alcoholic? Shouldn't he be taking over the world or the galaxy or making millions by writing smash hit songs? Rick has talent. He's got ambition when required, but for the most part, he's severely depressed, and his on-again, off-again catchphrase, wubba lubba dub dub, is supposed to translate to, I am in constant pain. Something isn't adding up here. Someone that brilliant should not want to dull his mind by drinking. I've previously theorized that his depression and need to be close to Beth has something to do with his ex-wife. But what if it's more interesting than that? Now let's shift and look at Gravity Falls. Stanford meets his arch nemesis, Bill Cipher, after falling asleep and entering the nightmare realm. Bill told Ford that he was a muse who chose one brilliant mind per century to inspire, and Ford ate up that nonsense with a spoon because Bill Cipher was really some crazy two-dimensional demon. That lie led Ford to foolishly give Bill unlimited access to his mind and body. With that newfound intelligence, Ford then unwittingly constructed a Stargate-like portal that could connect our world with the nightmare realm. Of course, once Ford realized his research was going to be used for evil purposes, he hid all of his journals before inadvertently getting sucked into the portal himself, where he remained trapped for 30 years. Back to Rick and Morty, and I swear I'm getting to a point here. I think Rick became an alcoholic because he wanted to be a different kind of Rick. The kind that rejected temptation and stayed close with his family, which is exactly the scenario Rick described to the Gromflamites when he made up a fake origin story. But the truth was that Rick wasn't some above-it-all golden child. He was greedy, selfish, and eager to be the best once he learned that there were other Ricks out there to compete with. Rick's desire to succeed made him a target, and with those types of goals, it wasn't long before Rick ended up in the nightmare realm and met Bill Cipher. Now, sure, we know Rick is cynical and untrusting and would never have anything to do with Bill Cipher, or at least the Rick we know today wouldn't, but a Rick who was young, hungry, and naive wouldn't have been able to resist making a deal with Bill Cipher, who would have been offering Rick all the knowledge in the universe at his disposal. And if Rick was a shrewd businessman, his deal would have forbade Bill from making the same offer to any other Rick in any other dimension, giving Rick C-137 the advantage needed to be the smartest of all the Ricks in existence for the small price of giving Bill Cipher unlimited access to Rick's body. Now, even though Rick tends to run on the indifferent side of things, and sometimes he's just outright evil, I don't think Rick would have continued honoring a deal with Bill when he found out that world domination was involved. But could Rick just decide when the deal was over and close off access to his brain? It's hard to say what the fine print in a verbal demon contract contains, but I really doubt it's voidable. I'm actually pretty confused at how Stanford Pines managed to end his previously made deal with Bill, and I don't believe Gravity Falls covers that issue. That brings up a lot more questions about Weirdmageddon then, but I'll leave that to consider in another video. So if Rick cannot escape from Bill, what's the next best thing? Perhaps it's to point Bill in the direction of other brilliant minds in other dimensions where Ricks don't exist. Maybe, but if a deal with Bill is set for life, distraction isn't a long-term solution. However, Rick could perpetually make himself useless so that Bill has no desire to take over his body? What if Rick's alcoholism is just a tactic to keep Bill Cipher at bay? Meaning every moment that Rick is drunk, he's actually saving the world from a hostile takeover because Bill sees a perpetually impaired human and moves on to search for a new sucker to con. But since Rick can't know when or if Bill will resurface, he has to continue to remain drunk at all times. Remember, Bill can inhabit the mind, but Bill becomes more susceptible to anything that tampers with how the brain behaves. That's how they defeated Bill Cipher in Gravity Falls, by erasing him with all of Stanley's memories, which should also translate to Bill being unable to adequately function inside a brain that's always drunk. This way, Rick gets to remain the smartest Rick of them all. No other Rick can be taken over by Bill as per their agreement, and Rick never has to fulfill his end of the bargain because he's become a seemingly useless drunk. This theory explains away Rick's drinking, his skepticism in everyone, why he abandoned his family, and why he remains in a state of constant pain. It's all because a young Rick Sanchez was guided by his ego and made a bad deal with a demon, then had to make awful choices to keep his family and his universe safe. Before you take to the comments asking me why Bill Cipher didn't just escape from the nightmare realm by taking over Rick's body and using his portal gun, well, maybe Rick purposefully created a block so his gun couldn't reach that dimension once he realized Bill wasn't actually a muse. By the way, I owe a huge thank you to Twitter user Reed_Earthling for bringing this idea to me. It was pretty awesome, and thank you for the suggestion! Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed enough to like, subscribe, and share this video. I've also got a lot of other videos on my channel that you are fully encouraged to go check out. Plus, you can find me on Facebook at Say Halo Goodbye, which is my gamer tag, or Twitter at _Fanily.